Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie. Today is a reading vlog. I'm going to be reading 3 books. Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola, a book that just came in the mail, which I will open now. Hellbent by Lee Bardugo. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, look how beautiful. I had already planned on reading these 2 and I wanted to add a 3rd book to the vlog. So I was like, these are so different. This is a contemporary romance and this is a dark academic fantasy. And I was thinking, wait a minute, they're both academic. They're both in a college setting. So my 3rd book needs to be in a college setting. So I chose The Idiot by Elif Batman. I don't know if that's how you say her name. I've had this on my shelves for years. It's so pretty and light pink, and I've heard some great things about this. It's set in 1995. I'm not considering that historical, but it's about a girl who's at Harvard, and I hear it's very relatable. So I think it's like literary fiction. So yes, that's the TBR for this video, and I hope you stick along. As much as I really want to dive into Hellbent so badly right now because it's the 2nd in a series and I've been anticipating it for a year, I'm actually almost halfway through Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. I feel like I need to finish this first. This is about Kiki, and she has a sort of academic rival, fake dating situation with this guy named Malachi. She works on a radio station, it's her passion, and they have to do this project together. And I guess it's supposed to help both of them to fake date. Honestly, that's the part I'm struggling with. I feel like I need a fake dating situation to make sense, and that's the reason that I don't always love that trope. However, the chemistry between these 2 is really making up for it. They are so attracted to each other. That's something else though that might get annoying because right now it makes sense at the plot point that we're at. They just started fake dating, but I don't like in books when 2 people are very attracted to each other and they just go on and on back and forth, like denying their attraction to each other for no good reason. That gets really frustrating to me. But again, it's making sense right now in the book, so we'll see. I did start listening to the audiobook of this because she's in radio and I thought it would really add to my listening pleasure. Ew. But like in the book, she is, or the narrator is describing how she's speaking at certain moments, like in spoken word, but also as like a fake NBC broadcast person. Also, they're British, and I just love listening to a British narrator. So yeah, like the audiobook is amazing. I want to find out what else this narrator does because they're doing such a good job of getting so much across, like sarcasm, but even subtle double meanings in the words that wouldn't even be the same if I was reading the pages. Like our main character, Kiki, she's very confident. However, she is highly insecure about opening herself to others and accepting others, or at least allowing them to accept her. And I feel like the narrator is doing such a good job of playing both her confidence and her vulnerability at the same time. And that's hard to do. So very excited to continue in this. I was listening to it earlier while I was working, but we have roofers that started on our roof today. They're like replacing, I don't know. It says they're going to be doing it until the 24th, which is in like 13 days. So 13 days of this. So I don't know if I can learn to ignore that without getting a migraine. So we'll see how much I listen to at work. I'm gonna try to actually finish it tonight via audiobook. I have been so overthinking my upload and my upload schedules and like just filming in general. And it's so weird. I feel like reading, but I'm like, wait, this would be the perfect time to start. No, this would be the perfect time. Oh wait, I don't have makeup on. Oh wait, I only have half an hour to read today, etc., etc., etc. And so now it is, God, what's the date? It's the 11th of January and I've only finished 1 book because I keep waiting for the perfect moment to vlog while I'm actually reading. So I was like, no, that's not gonna keep going on. And of course, the day when I said I was actually gonna start the roofers, whatever. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of night updates, so get ready. I just finished Honey and Spice and it was nice. I thought this was such a good audiobook just to listen to. It's well written, it's got such great characters. It's definitely the best part. Actually, the best part is the chemistry between the 2 main characters. Like, not even just the spicy chemistry, but just them interacting and talking to each other normally. They just really go back and forth genuinely and flawlessly, and I think the author did such a great job doing that because surprisingly, maybe if you don't read romance, you don't know this, but sometimes characters don't have chemistry at all unless they're actually just doing it. But no, in this book, when the characters were just driving in a car together, or they were up to spicy stuff, or if they were opening up to each other. It all just felt so well written, and it felt like these characters were real and you are rooting for them. There were a couple things that aren't my favorite, just as a personal preface, like the fake dating. More specifically, I don't think it makes sense why they did it. And then the ending, obviously no spoilers, but the third act breakup, it felt kind of like out of left field. And personally, I hate public like apologies or declarations, because if someone did that to me, I would want to throw up. So it's not my perfect romance, but I feel like I want to reread their first kiss again, because it was that electric. And I also think our main character Kiki, she had quite the character development through the entirety of this book, from beginning to end. That's what a book is. Sorry, I feel like it gets late at night and I start explaining basic ass things. I do feel like this year, or actually it's 2023, in 2022, I noticed that I was not getting on very well with YA stories. I just felt so far away from them, which is weird because I always heard people say that, and I was like, you know what? That doesn't make any sense to me. And it did start making sense to me last year. And now that I read this book, and college life was huge in here because our main character has a society of her Black classmates. It's actually funny because their school is called Whitewell and they named their Black society Blackwell. And that's just perfect. So we did get a very big community aspect throughout this whole book. And I'm glad they didn't start off strong with that and then kind of forget it as a romance happened. It was all very much a part of this book, which makes the public things at the end make more sense. So yeah, really happy that Kiki found her people and her person. All in all, I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5 right now for the book overall, but the romance itself is like 5 stars. These two characters falling in love was 5 stars to me. And I think this is the author's debut novel. She has a short story collection, so I'll have to check that out. Excited for her next venture into books. What? Oh wait, I think I was saying something about college. I need to go to bed. But I think I was saying that there was a lot of talk about politics in here, like the political system of the society within the school. And of course of Kiki's radio channel, and is that what it's called, a channel? And how much that feeds into the society, helps it and aids the women in the society. And so, like I said, I really did like reading about this group that Kiki had sort of led. She was a leader in that community, which was really cool to see her flourish in that. But college itself, I think I'm starting to lose my grip, which is funny because this whole video is gonna be college. It's not that I mind the setting of college, it's that I see myself seeing how short-term college is. It kind of makes me sad because I start thinking about like, well, how long are these people gonna all know each other and be close to each other? And that's not the point. And maybe that's why I didn't enjoy college, because I literally talked to no one. I was just working and going to the library. That is literally it. But a part of my sad, aging brain is like, I wanna know what happens after. You know what I mean? Like when they are settling in their lives. I don't know. I think I'm boring. I'm sorry. Alright guys, I've read about 50 pages of Hellbent. I'm going so slow. It's like 3 p.m. now. Anyway, the last 2 days, no reading has been done. Actually, that's not true. I've been listening to the Vampire Diaries, but just while I'm working, this is all I hear all day. And at first it was like funny whenever something like loud dropped on that roof. But then after 6 hours of that straight, it's like, so yeah, it's just kind of like constant headache city. So anyway, it is Saturday. I'm not drunk, I just can't speak. I've started Hellbent, which is very exciting. For this portion of the vlog, I will be talking about like what's gonna be happening in this book, which does have a couple spoilers for Ninth House. So if you haven't read Ninth House yet and you plan on it, I would just skip to the next book. You have been warned. This book picks up like in the fall after the events of Ninth House. So I think that happened in the spring. So summer has happened and now back in the fall, everyone's back at Yale. And we kind of jump right in. And that was a little jarring at first because she starts talking about things that I have no idea what's going on. Actually, that opening chapter was pretty thrilling. But there's something going on that I feel so lost. And I just reread Ninth House last month or the month before, and I was just like, wait, how could I already forget things? There's some guy named Eaton who I think was in Hellbent, and I was trying to figure it out. But then we get another flashback in a couple pages of the summer. So I think some shit went down in the summer that we're going to learn more about throughout this book. But I'm guessing the main sort of mystery or the main plot in this book is going to be our main character Alex and Dawes, who I love, trying to find Darlington. And again, I'm going to say a spoiler right now for Ninth House. At the very end, we find out that he's turned into a demon and that he's in hell. And so they're trying to find this gateway into hell. They are hell bent. I really do love that title. It's so good. Also, something that just is so cool, when I was listening to Ninth House, which is how I did my reread, there's an interview with Leigh Bardugo at the end of the audiobook. And apparently she went to Yale and she was in one of the secret societies at Yale. How fucking cool is that? She, I think, was in Wolf's Head. So yeah, right now in my journey of Hellbent, 50 pages in, and I feel a little lost. And I feel like this is kind of a book where you have to work yourself to get into it. That didn't make any sense. You have to kind of work for it, at least in the beginning for me, because the magic system is so randomly in this real world setting. It really feels kind of clunky at first, and so I keep forgetting things even though I just reread this. Something that is really working for me though is the atmosphere, and that's definitely the best part of Ninth House in my opinion, is just this like fall vibe. It's got this dreary sort of old cemetery feeling to this book, and it's done so well. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep reading, and then tonight we're gonna go out for dinner and we're gonna go watch Megan. I've been seeing so many memes about this and I hear it's really good. I am prepared to be scared, and I'll let you know what I think probably tomorrow. All right, it is the next day. We went to go see Megan last night and it was funny. There's some funny parts that are supposed to be funny, and then there were some funny parts that I don't think were supposed to be funny. It was creepy and there were a lot of jump scares, but I wouldn't consider it scary. Although, I guess it really depends on what you're scared of. I was more so fascinated by the whole robot thing. Anyway, I'm a little over halfway through Ninth House, or no, this is Hellbent, I'm sorry. And I just read the best chapter ever. Chapter 26 was so good. We had a bunch of different narrators, and that's all I'm gonna say. Also, I have no idea where we're going, because my thought process was that we were trying to get into hell to get Darlington out. And so there are things happening in here, again, I can't explain because of spoilers, that I don't understand what or why we're doing things, or what we're doing or why we're doing it. And I feel like that is kind of how I first read Ninth House. Like the first time, I kind of just rode the ride. I got on and I just let it take me wherever, because if I start questioning things too much, it's not as fun. But this is just so good. It's dark. There's just so many complex characters here. I love Dawes. And I have my suspicions of people, but I know from Ninth House that things are not always as they seem, and there could be multiple bad guys, or there probably are. So yeah. Oh, also, I realized I don't think I explained exactly what I liked about this college setting versus Honey and Spice college setting. And I think it is because there's so much talk about the architecture in this and the actual setting. I feel like it makes it more gloomy because it is kind of a gloomy, like brick setting, but also architecture is so fascinating to me personally. So yeah. So now I'm curious about my third book, The Idiot, if there's gonna be descriptions about the architecture. I know it's set at Harvard, and I know there's a lot of architecture there because it's an old school. Is it the first school that was ever created in the USA? The first built school? I don't know. I also love the detective in here, Turner. I really like him, and I want him and Galaxy to be best friends. Like, I know they're both crotchety and hard-headed, but that's like, they make such a good duo. Okay, that's it. I honestly want to reread that chapter just because chapter 26 was so fucking good. So good. right, guys, I look like trash because I did nothing but read this book tonight. Also, I have a pimple patch on my face, so I'm sorry. I literally didn't even eat until I finished this book. I just had a whopping huge dinner to make up for it, and I feel so good right now. But yeah, this definitely got to a point, you can see like where I tabbed mostly at the end. I feel like the first 25-30% of this I was into it, but it wasn't like an addictive read, and then I could not put it down. Like, I wanted to know what happened. There were some things I don't like in this book. That's kind of a stretch. I liked everything in this book, but there were things that were like, what is the point of this kind of feeling? But then there's so much I really liked in this, and when I think about Ninth House versus Hellbent, I feel like I like them the same amount. I'm gonna give this like a 4.5, probably a 4 right now, maybe upon reread higher, but it gave me the same exact feeling I got in Ninth House, which is why I like this series so much. It's just this really almost solid sense of atmosphere. It's so well done, but also there is this sense of really quirky characters coming together, and I feel like you did feel that a little bit more in Hellbent, this sort of found family aspect. Things I didn't like in it, there was a certain side plot that, based on my reading of Ninth House, I was sure it was gonna come together and make sense, but I really don't think it was strong. I'm being very vague here, but maybe you can guess if you've read it. And I do not like how it ended. I'm just gonna say that. But I am very excited for the next book, but not because of where we left off, more so because of the characters, and I just can't wait to just read anything more in this setting. Something I liked a little bit more in Hellbent was, I don't even know if I can say, I guess I'll just be vague and say sexual tension. I'm gonna go through my quotes. I'm probably not gonna put them all in, I'll edit them out, but I'm just like curious. The first thing I quoted, and the only thing that I have quoted here in the first half, is once bones broke, they learned the habit. I thought that was a cool line. I feel like a lot of my tabbing in a mystery like this is me saying, well, this person's suspicious. Oh, there was a character in here. The entire time I was like, they're up to something. And I wasn't right, but I feel like maybe down the line, I'm going to be. I don't know. It's a hunch. There are also some annotations I can't tell you because they are spoilers, including one, if you've read it, on page 412. That last sentence, I squealed. I cannot tell you how loud, but it was loud. Oh, this is a good one. Hell's price must be paid. All that meant was hell was no different from any other place. There was always a price and someone to pay it, and someone was always on the take. Yeah, so I feel like I can't read half of these annotations because they're not for the quotes or because they're spoilers. Definitely love this series. 2 books in a series to be 4.5, 4 stars, that's really good, I feel. And for me to be squealing like this and I could not put the book down, I think that's so great, and I love that feeling so much. I mean, I feel like that's why we read. And it is funny because I read 400 of these pages today. And it's so true when they say that reading makes you want to read more, because I immediately want to pick up a book. Well, I did when I put it down. Now I've had dinner and I've watched a little TV and I'm just like, I could actually just watch YouTube now. But guys, I've had such a productive morning. I went grocery shopping. I got some new shirts, including this sweater that looks like 10 other sweaters I already own. And I read 50 pages, sorry, that's my grocery list, of The Idiot by Elif Batman, and wow, I've laughed a lot, I've tabbed a lot. This is about a young woman named Celine. It's set in 1995. Email has just been created. The World Wide Web, as it's being stated in here, is really just getting started and popular, which is just so funny. And Celine has started Harvard, and we just go right into it. There really isn't too much building of plot or scenery or anything like that. It's really just the day-to-day happenings of this girl. Not really day-to-day. It's not like, well, I woke up and then I went to class and blah, 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 blah. It's just little snippets. It's almost like vignettes. Is that correct? I don't even know if I'm using that word right. I don't belong in Harvard, clearly. But she is talking a lot about her different classes, which is just so fascinating to me. There's a lot of talk about linguistics, not even just in her language classes or her literature classes, but in her film classes or art history or whatever it is. But also just this main character, Celine, loves words. She has like a dictionary and she likes to look at the words and the meanings of it, and it's definitely has to be something that Elif. I'm gonna call her Elif. I should probably look it up. The author definitely has a fondness for words too, because it is witty. It is witty, and there are so many LOL moments, not like actual laugh out loud, but like in a kind of way. This is the level of analysis you get with someone like me. I differentiate different laughs, not an LOL, a lol, more like a Our main character is she's not quite passive. She's just very much observant, and she doesn't have too many opinions. There was actually a passage on it that I felt was so relatable when I was in college. I felt like I had no opinions when I was in college, and I remember writing about that in my journal. I was so frustrated by that because I felt like I couldn't bring anything to my class discussions. But then there's also talk about the pretentious people that she's at school with, including the professors, and oh my god, yes. Obviously, there's a level of pretentiousness that I never witnessed because this is Harvard. I went to FSU, which is like a party school. It was damn beautiful though. It had that like fall vibe. There were red bricks. I never took a single picture of the architecture, which is kind of annoying to me now. Back then, I sometimes had a phone if I could afford it, but most of the time I didn't. I didn't have a camera, and so the only pictures I have to show you from my college days is this picture of me on the way to school. I transferred there my junior year. I went to community college to get my associate's degree. I have this picture of me on the bus, like the school bus to get around campus. And then all the other pictures are of me at the library making weird faces, and you can't even tell I'm at a library in most of them. And that is literally all I have. My favorite part of school, because I was such a big fat nerd, were the classes and studying, which is why I was always just at the library, and I never went to a football game. I never went to a party. I just studied and read. And I feel like probably some of you can relate because we're all book nerds, right? So I'm really loving reading about her school and classes and the academic part of this book, because I feel like in other college books, like the first one where Kiki was really focused on her personal passion project, her radio show, and Alex Stern could not care less about academics. She just wanted to like survive and fight ghosts and shit. So I do like that they're all different, all these books that I've been reading. I did say in Hellbent that I was excited for any sort of architectural discussion about Harvard or even Boston because it's such an old town, but so far there hasn't been, but it's not that big of a deal because I'm getting so much out of it from these witty observations and just the randomness of this book. But like I said, our main character, she isn't quite passive, she's very observant. My timer just went off because I had to take the bacon out of the oven, so I have no idea if I actually finished recording that. Hopefully it made it. Anyway, our main character just seems to go along with her roommates. They're not even like friends, they're like her classmates, and she's just like, okay. But she also has this weird innocence that's almost like confident. And I see it especially when she's talking to adults and her teachers and like authority figures, where they're being pretentious and kind of talking down to her. And she's just very blunt and kind of matter of fact. And for someone who fears authority figures, even as a 28-year-old woman, I find it very brave. I am wondering what her character is going to be like, because I think there's this guy, Ivan, who we have met, but he seems kind of like a scrub. I think she's gonna like maybe hook up with him. I don't know. I just hope she grows and she has a good experience. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a devastating novel at all because it is so witty, but I feel like I'm just waiting to cringe. And actually, the very first tab I have here wasn't even written by the author. It's a quote by Marcel Proust, which, yes, pretentious,
as Marcel Proust would say.
But he's talking about being young and how awkward it was. He says, there's hardly a single action we perform in that phase which we would not give anything in later life to be able to annul. Which, yes, I wholeheartedly agree. But then he goes on to say that it's really sad that we don't act spontaneously like that anymore. So I think this is saying that, yes, cringe for being like a teenager, young adult, new adult, whatever, but also isn't that cute. That's what I'm getting from this. Oh, I also have pictures of my little dorm room. My junior year, I lived in a dorm. My senior year, I lived off campus, but my little dorm room. One more thing about this is that because it's so academic, and especially it's at Harvard, so it's like extra smart, and she's talking a lot about her classes, things that are going way over my head, is that it is kind of a slow moving book. And though it's very fascinating, it's not a book that I can like read very quickly. I need to take it all in and try to understand its meaning because she is playing a lot with words as well. And I like kind of sitting and thinking about it. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish this today. Hey guys, it's a couple days later. I'm gonna be completely honest, I am in full hibernation mode. Every now and then I just want to hermit and not talk to anyone or interact with anyone, or obviously, you know, make videos. So I want to put this video up before I completely 86 it, and then next week when I'm feeling back to normal, I'll regret it. So yeah, I only read like 15 more pages of this in the past 2 days. I'm kind of itching to move on to another book because this is so slow. Yeah, this is going to be a book that I think I take my time with. I really want to enjoy it. I don't want to speed through it just for the sake of the video, but I feel like it's 4.5, 5 stars. So, I mean, I don't want to call that prematurely, but I think it's a safe bet. So yeah, sorry for the abrupt finish, although I'm pretty sure this vlog is already very long. I think maybe I am in a little bit of a slump from Hellbent. I kind of want to reread it. I am just about to get my audiobook from the library, so maybe I'll do it that way. But if you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts. And tell me how your first month of 2023 is going for reading or for life. I feel like this is the time when we all kind of lose that sort of New Year's momentum. At least I'm finding that I am, so I'm curious about anyone else. I will see you in the next video, and I hope you have a good day.